I'm Heather Valentine, online instructor and blogger at the Sewing Loft. One of my favorite things to do is to share simple tips and techniques to help improve your everyday sewing. Today, we're going to be working on a ruffle cuff boot. You can see that it has a nice little lace ruffle at the top and a couple of buttons. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you a couple of ideas on what you can find in the market today. Lace is available in a wide variety. It comes in everything from vintage to eyelet, even cottons. It comes in a lot of textures and even colors. The colors are great, especially when you're using white socks or cream socks. One thing that I want to point out, and for you to keep in mind when you're shopping, is that if you pick a wider cotton lace, it will tend to be fuller and thicker when you ruffle it. And if you're going with a more smaller piece, you may have a little bit of trouble maneuvering it through the ruffling foot. So think about this when you're shopping and understand your skill level. After you've made your selections, we're going to be working with this really fun foot. I know what you're thinking. You're going to tell me, this is crazy. This contraption, I don't even know where to begin. Well, this is called a ruffling foot. It looks a little strange, but it attaches to your machine just like a standard foot with one simple exception. It has this little forked arm that you put over your needle clasp. Once you get it in place, you're going to notice that there are several notches at the top of the bar. There's a 12, a 6, a 1, and even a little star. Let me explain what they all do. The 12 means that you're going to take 12 stitches, 1 pleat. 12 stitches, 1 pleat. Now if you move it over to the 6, it'll be 6 stitches, 1 pleat, 6 stitches, 1 pleat. And by the time you get to the 1, you get the idea, right? Now the little star means that we're just going to do some straight stitching. In today's project, we're actually going to focus on the number 1. We're going to use it for just little gathers and put it on our machine. So I've gone ahead and already set up my machine. You can see that my foot is in place and I have my fine weight thread on so that it nestles right into my lace. I want to point out 2 important things. One, before you put your foot on, it is incredibly important that you put your bobbin in underneath. This foot is kind of bulky, so if you've forgotten to do it, you're gonna have to take it off and put it in. So I've done that, and then I have also aligned my lace with the little fabric guide on the back, and you wanna make sure that it extends all the way to the back, past the outside of the foot, and that is going to allow the feed dogs to actually pull it as we are stitching over it. So we're going to use a single needle straight stitch, and I've set mine to a standard setting of 2.5 in length, and we're going to just stitch right through. So let's get started. You can see that the fabric feeder is physically pulling it through all the way, and it's doing all of the work for you. Just want to make sure that you continue to have it aligned up on your fabric guide and walking right through. So, what did I tell you? The machine does all the work. Now that we have that part set up, I've already gone ahead and pre-ruffled, where it's time to attach it to our sock. We want to start on the outside edge. Let me see, I want to make sure I start you in the right spot. You want to start by pinning your lace to the outside. Think of how you're going to wear it on your boot and how it'll be exposed. So you want to pin under the first part of your lace, and we're going to attach it right along the top edge. And as you're pinning, you are going to stretch your sock so that all of these ribs are pulled apart. This way you're getting the largest stretch and your lace is laying nice and flat. So gently bring that all the way around. I have a few more pieces to put on. You can see that it looks a little funny in its flat position, but once we get to the machine, it'll all come into place and make sense. Now, when you get to your final spot and you're going to overlap, you want to put one pin in place to secure it. And then I like to make a right angle turn and bring it down. Pin in place. Okay, now it's time to attach this. So we're going to need to change our machine setup by taking off our foot. So let's come back to the machine and put on our regular foot. Now's the perfect time to remind you that the lightweight thread is the perfect thread to use because it'll nestle right inside of all of our lace and it'll be tucked away and you won't see it. You don't want that to be the focal point. So we're going to be sewing in the round and we're going to need to remove this arm so that it'll expose this piece. You're going to slide your sock over and put it directly underneath your presser foot. You're going to start at that one section where we started to pin and make one adjustment to your machine setup. We're going to be using a zigzag stitch and we want to reduce the length. So you'll have to check with your manual just to see what number it should be on, but we want to reduce the length and the width. I'll make sure to include all these instructions available for you to download on the website. And then once you have your machine set up, you just simply stitch right along the top edge. You're going to let the zigzag do all the work, capturing the edge, and the arm is going to extend your lace and ribs all at the same time. So I'm not going to sew it all the way around. I want to take some time to show you how to attach the button. We're going to need to do a few things to our machine setup. One is going to be to add the button attacher foot, and we're also going to take this time to put an all-purpose thread on our machine. It'll add a little bit of rigidity and stability to our buttons. So I've already gone ahead and grabbed my other sock and set up my machine. I have my buttonhole foot on and we're ready to go. I've changed my machine to a zigzag on a 0 length, and we are just going to stitch. You want to go back and forth a few times just to make sure that you have an adequate amount of thread holding down your button and pull it off. It's that simple. You want to go back though and actually trim away all your loose threads. Let's get back to the table. So I want to show you one more detail that you can add to the top of your ruffle. I like to use the snaps every once in a while just to add a little bit of bling. You can get them at your local store and they're really easy to attach. We're going to put it on this little sample piece. You're going to take the top component and slide it right through all of your layers so that you can see it coming through. And then you're going to slip it into the bottom of the cap and you're going to hear it actually snap into place. The bottom inside piece is going to snap on to the other component of the attacher. You're going to hold it down, you're going to feel it all kind of lock into place. You're going to grab a hammer and really give it a couple of really good hits. I mean, how many times do you get to use a hammer in sewing? Now it's all attached. That's how easy it is to attach a snap and a nice little ruffle detail to the top of your sock.